and there's usually something there. And then they all converge at one time. As you see in a lot of documentaries, you see vultures all piling on a carcass somewhere. This being a New World vulture, the difference is they're not really related to the Old World vultures like the Cape vultures that you have over there, or the vultures of Africa and Asia. They're more related to birds of prey. These birds are more related to a stork-like ancestor. So they don't have really a opposable back talon for grabbing. It's more of a walking foot. It's more like a chicken foot rather. So because they don't have to kill anything, they will fight with it. They'll defend each other with it. Defend themselves with it. For the most part, they're pretty mellow bird. Very, very curious. You know, wants to get into trouble. It's like a raccoon and wants to get into everything, investigate everything. That's the way of life. But they are not closely related to California condors, but they are in the New World vulture family. They call them king vultures because of the power in the bill, the beak. You'll notice he has a fairly short head and a broad, tall beak, and really blocky head, like a pit bull almost. You know, for a vulture, you'll notice like turkey vultures and black vultures have this really skinny, long head with a little long beak on it. And they live in the same places that the king vulture does. Turkey vulture, king vulture, black vulture, yellow-headed vulture, they're all very closely related. The king vulture is much bigger, broader, he's like the big tough guy on the block. And that beak is key for the survival for the rest of the other birds, because when those birds find food, like a big carcass of some animal in the jungle somewhere, those smaller vultures can't get through the skin. He walks up and just tears it right open. Now everybody has access to it. So they find the food, he opens it up for them, takes his fill, goes off, and the smaller vultures come in there and take over. So he weighs about 10 pounds, but if you've been holding him like this for like 5 hours, he weighs like 60. He likes doing this kind of stuff, though. He doesn't get out very often. Any immediate questions? Have I left anything out? Go ahead. Nobody knows what. I always forget about that. This is called a carbuncle. It's just this decorative, fleshy thing on his face that can be seen from long distance away by other vultures. Being around these New World vultures as long as I have, I've noticed things. They're constantly communicating with each other. They're constantly, trying to act tough from 50 feet away and acting scared from 50 feet away. This ruff right here will extend, and his neck will be exposed. You'll see all these colors on his neck, and he can expose them or he can cover them up. He can move it up and he can move it down, and that's all moves. And so this carbuncle plays into that. He shakes it, it flaps back and forth. So it's kind of a display sort of. They get bigger as they get older. So when they're first hatched, it's just a little bump, and it just gets bigger and more elaborate as it gets older. It just continues to grow. So it can identify the bird itself. Individually, the birds in a flock all know each other very well. They all know who's the dominant bird, and they can tell. That's one other thing that they can tell by the carbuncle and the way they move, the way they use it. Anything else?
What age do they have their own kids?
Yeah, that's a good question. They're sexually mature at about 4 years.
Okay.
And they start out completely black. 100% black. Every feather, all their skin, their eyes, everything is completely black. And then slowly, as time goes on, the white feathers start to come out, and they'll get this real mottled look, and the face will start to change colors, the carbuncles will start to grow, and then you'll get all these different stages, kind of aging that way.
What do they use to attract mates most?
They do a real elaborate, like all the New World vultures, they do a real elaborate, the male does an elaborate display dance. So he will just open his wings, hang his head down, open his mouth, stick his tongue out, and it'll just start rocking back and forth like this. Really slow and deliberate. And it just sort of hypnotizes the female. And it can be seen from really far away by other birds. So they'll do it territorially, and they'll do it to attract a mate and to and courtship. Even if they have a mate, they'll do the dance to try to get things going.
Are they mated for life?
Not necessarily. Generally, the bigger birds like this will mate for life, but we're finding out because of the California Condor Release Program, we have all the birds tagged and transmitted. A lot of them have GPS tags on them, and we know where they are, where they're eating, what they're eating. There's just no hiding from us. I mean, every day we get an email on our computer, press the button, oh, he's over there, he's over there, he's over there. And we know who they're with, who they're hanging out with. And by doing that and investigating all the nests that we run into out there, we're finding a lot of divorces. Like we'll have a pair this year that are together, and then the next year they're totally switched off.
Okay.
You know, so it remains to be seen with the King Vulture if it's that way, but we definitely know that California condors, they can be pretty promiscuous. Yeah.
How big is his wingspan?
His is probably about 7 feet.
7 feet.
Whoa. When it's fully extended, like he's just holding it up right now, but when he wants to really stretch it out and become a plane, it's about 7 feet.
Is the dominant male dominant?
Yeah, that's a good question. In birds of prey, the females are generally larger, a third larger than the males. And in New World vultures, and that's true of Old World vultures as well, the African vultures, the Asian vultures. The New World vultures is different. The males are bigger than the females. So it's more like your typical bird. You know, most birds, chickens, pheasants, you know, all kinds of birds down the line. The males are generally bigger, more elaborate, stronger, that type of thing. Birds of prey, it's the opposite. Hawks, eagles, falcons, all those things. The females are generally a third bigger. In fact, in falconry terms, people that hunt with birds of prey and train them, the male bird of any species is called a tiercel. You have you have a peregrine falcon and you have a peregrine tiercel. Tiercel, in some old medieval word, means 1/3 smaller. The method behind that, there's a lot of theories why that, nobody really knows why that is for birds of prey, why the female is bigger than the male. But the theory that works the best, I think, is that birds of prey, not vultures, but birds of prey are territorial of where they live. They're very territorial. They spend most of their time all day defending the perimeter of their territory from other like-minded birds of the same species and sometimes other species. And so you have to sort of look at their territory as their refrigerator. Everything they need in where they live is contained in that area. So they want to protect their food source, the nesting areas, the roosting areas, all those types of things. So in order to be able to defend an area that big with two birds as a pair, as a breeding pair, if most birds of the same size will specialize in the same size food. So like you have a female golden eagle and a male golden eagle. Well, the female can handle much larger prey, and the male will handle smaller prey. And so if they were the same size, they would compete with each other for food. So the female will end up eating larger food, the male will eat smaller food. They won't specialize on the same food, and they can coexist. In the off season, or during the breeding season though, which is in the spring and summer, the female isn't doing any hunting at all. She maintains the nest, protects the chicks, feeds the chicks, and just remains at the nest most of the time. The male hunts for himself, the female, and the chick. So the male is doing all the hunting for probably 4 months out of the year for the entire family. Question? Thing on his face? Does anybody else want to tell? It's called a carbuncle. It's just a fleshy, decorative thing. It's like an earring, but it's on his nose. Yeah.
Could he kill us if he wanted to?
No. No. He's not like that. I mean, they can be pretty tough. That's the tool right there. That's really sharp. He likes me saying that. But they can be kind of aggressive. Some of the condors, the big scary condors that we have that are like more imprinted, they can be pretty dangerous. Got a question?
What is the bare spot on his chest there?
This actually, when you notice it's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now.
It's his crop, and
Okay.
the crop doesn't have any feathers on it, and it's really expandable. He could put about a pound of food in that crop. So the crop is just an extension of the esophagus, and it's a food storage area. So you got to imagine these vultures, they don't have a consistent food supply. It's you know, they could have a lot of food one day and not any food for a week. So when they do run into food, they just gorge themselves. So they'll fill that crop up, the feathers will split, the crop will hang out like this and be like a big water balloon. And on the King Vulture, it's not very colorful, it's like a pink color, just that kind of flesh tone. He could flush it and make it look red like this if he wants to. The California condors have can hold about 3.5 pounds of food in there, of just pure meat in their crop, and it'll look like a cantaloupe. It's huge. So like they'll go to a cow carcass or something and they'll just load up, get right up in the air and fly, you know, 90 miles back to the nest and do it all in one day. King vultures can't hold that much. A California condor is about twice this size. It's the largest flying bird in North America, and it's native to right here. Other questions?
What do we feed him at the zoo?
He gets a varied diet. He gets the same diet as the California condors. So he gets rats, rabbits, meat. Sometimes we'll feed him fish certain times a year.
Feed him every day?
No, they get fed about four times a week. It's important for them to have fast days. Vultures like this, along with birds of prey, I don't know if you know, anybody's seen like an owl or a hawk, they cast up a pellet of bones and fur and that type of thing. These birds can digest bone, so they'll eat lots of bone and they'll just liquefy it in their intestines. But they can't digest feathers, hair, like grass that gets caught up in the food that they eat. And so once that crop empties and the digestive system is done with the food, it will cough up this ball of just fur. This like odorless, little clean ball of fur, and it'll just drop on the ground. So it's important that they have fast days so they're allowed to do that, because they won't do it if they keep eating on top of it. They'll just keep building up.
How do you distinguish between a male and a female?
Blood sexing, DNA. If you're around them long enough, you can tell the difference between males and females. The males are a little bit bigger, they're more behavioral. You know, the way they act around other birds, they'll walk up, what's going on, and everybody will get out of the way. Well, that's and the females they're more slight. You know, they don't have that as blocky. You know, if I brought out a female, you'd go, oh, it's the same bird. But if you brought them both together, you go, oh, there's little differences.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Got a question?
Do males and females both have the collar?
Yes. That's a good question. Males have a little bit more elaborate, bigger ones, and they get bigger as they get older.
Do females stay steady, the caruncle? The
What?
size? Do the females' size stay the same?
Stay the same?
The caruncle? You said the males grow over time. Do the
They both grow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a effective age. You can almost age some of these things with a carnival by looking at them. All that. There's really, like, he's got a really big one. I've seen bigger. Pardon? Yeah, it's just like keratin skin. Yep. Just a fleshy display thing. Once everybody knows what's up.
So you said on a condor, generally we don't see any fur. I mean, there's a little bit of a fur in it. So
He's only not showing it because he's a little nervous around the people. He could show all of it. He just chooses to bring it up to his. Yeah, he just brought it down a little bit when he was preening. Now he's putting it back up. It's an attitude thing. It's to let all he, in the natural world, all he would care about is communicating to his own species. So we're not privy to it. We're not paying attention to it as much. I am, because I see it every day. I noticed by the way he's acting, this ruff is all the way up to his ears almost. And that's not really normal. If he was just around me, boom, it'd be all the way down to his shoulders. And you just see this big red and yellow net. But he's a little nervous, but. And the quick head movements, and when they're really relaxed, their head movements are slow and kind of deliberate, but he's whipping it back and forth real fast. That's communicating to his species. See, he's doing it, look, he's periscoping up, he's kind of nervous. So, he doesn't get out much, so he's checking everything out. You got a question back there?
Where did you find him?
Well, we bred him here in the zoo. So we had his parents and his mom and dad, and they laid an egg, and we put the egg in the incubator and hatched him.
So he recognizes you?
Oh yeah, all of them do. They're very perceptive about personalities.
So if they
Like
stay
we have-
around
we-
you long enough, they can...
Doesn't have to be that long. You feed them a couple of times, they're your best friend. He is an adult. He's 26 years old, so he's been an adult for 22 years. What? Full size. He's not a particularly big King Vulture. I've seen bigger, but he's good size. 9 pounds, 9-10 pounds. He goes up and down in weight depending on the season. Summer he tends to drop a couple pounds. Bikini weather. But in the winter, it's cold, so they have to burn more energy to stay warm, so they tend to eat more and they tend to pack on a little fat. Go ahead.
One can like hear. Where can they hear?
Can they hear? Is that what you're asking?
When and where? When and where can they hear?
When and where can they hear? They can hear.
Right, like what age?
No, like where do they hear me?
Oh, where's the ear?
Yeah.
The ear is right. It's there. Just a little hole. It's there somewhere. Yeah, it's right there. Right behind this little fold, there's a little hole back there. It's hard to see. It's protected because the way and the reason that they have bald heads and necks is because they do something that we wouldn't want to do with our hand. They're shoving their heads in dead animals, trying to eat what's inside of it, and the animal could be old and gross and with maggots all in it. So they have to protect all these little things, these little orifices for bugs and stuff getting in there. So they go in there and they go in blind. They can't, when they're putting their head in there, they can't see what they're eating. So they're in there feeling around, and all the caruncle and this part of his face is very high in nerve endings. So as it goes in there, he's feeling, it's kind of like a shrew, has all those little things in the end of their face. They're feeling around in the dark. So as they're feeling, they're grabbing and biting and grabbing and biting. And they don't want things getting into the holes that they can't get it out of. So, and then what they'll do is, after they get done eating, their face will be disgusting and covered in slime and blood and what else. They'll go out, they'll go take a bath in a stream. They're very clean animals, they'll bathe. They'll go out in the sun and just bake in the sun. And whatever's left will just sort of dry and flake off.
Do you have an active breeding program?
For these?
Yeah.
King vultures are not they're threatened in the wild. There's not really a big need for breeding them in captivity. There's still a lot of them. There's a lot of king vultures in captivity all over the world because they do really well in zoos. So depending on if something were to happen to the species, they would definitely put a breeding program together. But generally, most of the birds that are in the United States or the zoos that are cooperating with each other, the genetics are really heavy in one family, so you don't really want to do that to the population. So it would be really easy to build their numbers back up. They breed readily in captivity.
So you have to let the eggs happen, or
You don't pair them if you don't want to breed them, because they're going to breed. They're really, really anxious to breed all the time. That's the way I put it. You might use a different word. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Once you separated the egg from the parent, did you actually introduce it to its parents?
It depends. It depends on what we want to do with it. Like if we're going to use it for something like this, we'll probably want to hand rear it. So we will just hand raise it, and that way it'll be ready to do something like this. If you wanted it to be an exhibit animal, you just let the parents rear it. It's a good question because there's a lot of husbandry issues with these New World vultures. They're very intelligent, and to do it really good, you got to have a lot of stimulus for them. Lots of things to do, climb on, stuff like that. If you have a really stale environment, and then you just have a nest box and a pair of birds, sometimes the male could get aggressive and chase the female around. And the pair bond is really important for breeding. So they have to be able to coexist together. Like somebody was saying, could it kill you? No, it couldn't kill you, but they could kill each other. So yeah, the males are bigger, stronger, more aggressive behaviorally. They just are that way. And if they get it in their mind that they want to beat something up, they're going to do it. And so you have to, the exhibit and the breeding situation has to have all the right things. So, and in that situation, yeah, they will parent rear their chicks just fine. The males are very, very paternal. They sort of, in my view, even in the condors, the males are more focused on their babies than they are even their mate. So once they wait for the female to lay an egg, and the second that egg drops, they can push her out of the way and sit on it. And they take dominance over everything in the life of the pair, and that includes raising the chick. And sometimes the males, in captivity, sometimes the males can be really defensive of the chick. They might even see the female as a threat. And sometimes you have to separate them, and then the male can just raise the chick on his own. And then the next year you put them together, they'll breed and start all over again. But they're very, very good in captivity. All the New World vultures, you know, they're almost built for captivity. The condors, the California condors that we have, you know, a lot of them were taken from the wild back in the 80s. They're of unknown age, so they're taken in as adults. They could be 50, 60 years old. Nobody knows how old they are. You put them in captivity, food, water, a nest box, breed right away. Now try that with something like a bald or golden eagle. You may not ever see them breed, and may not ever breed. It may take 10 years to breed. California condors and these New World vultures are just very opportunistic. They recognize a good thing when they see it, and they take advantage of it. The thing I like to say about New World vultures is that they turn lemons into lemonade, no matter where they are. They're very opportunistic and optimistic birds. They sort of welcome new things. Where most birds, you know, big birds like that, they don't want anything new. They want their routine. They establish a routine, they want to keep it. These guys, all these New World vultures, they love something different. They're like parrots, you know, they're like parrots, or like I said, like a raccoon. They're like into everything. And he's a particularly good behaved bird because I've been shaping him his whole life to be able to just stand here. You're not going to see somebody standing around with a King Vulture very often because they want to bite, they learn how to get away with stuff. If he wanted to go down there, he would bite me and I'd go, ow, and he would drop down. But just trained him, bless you. Just trained him that, you know, you hang out here for a little while, it'll be fine.
In the wild, do the fathers take care of the chick then and the mothers? Or do the mothers?
They both do, but the males are dominant.
Okay, so he chooses when he takes breaks. Okay.
He dictates everything.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else have a question?
Is your own back home?
Not really.
Anybody else have any more questions? Take one more.
I've already said this already. I just want to know how much is the weight.
9 or 10 pounds, depending on the season. It's probably about, feels about 20 right now.
Great. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.